Hello, once again, so soon after the previous video. But I think I have good reason to be here so soon. You may have noticed that usually when I do these things, I announce where I'm from. I always start by saying greetings from Waliczka, near Krakow, in Poland. And there's a good reason for that. It's driven by the fact that many people who place orders with me directly overlook the fact that I live in Poland. I've lived here for almost 20 years now, and I realise that the fact that I always use pound sterling for my prices might throw some people, but I have lived here for a long time. I'm not going back to Blighty, not to live anyway. Yeah, I sometimes receive emails from people inquiring about their order because they've seen the release advertised somewhere else, and they think that I live in the UK and therefore can post their order fairly quickly and that they can receive it fairly quickly. So I don't. I live in the UK. I live in Poland. I've explained this before as well. Post from here to the UK, it actually got better in the last 6-7 months, but it still can take up to 10 to 14 days, for a package to reach the UK from here, especially like a vinyl package or even a small CD package, because they all have to go through customs now. That's really why, and there's paperwork involved, even on the CD packages, which I think I'll just turn Ramley down. I'm listening to Hole in the Heart at the moment. But even on a small CD package, I have to put a customs declaration on there and fill in some paperwork. There's a plus to that. It means that each package has a tracking number. But the downside is that I have to spend longer in the post office. That's a huge negative for me, because each and every package to the UK, the same as to certain other countries as well around the world, but each and every package has to be logged into the computer. So there's the logging in of the address of the recipient and all of this nonsense, Anyway, so that there is a plus in the sense that there's a tracking number, but there are a few negatives, and one of those, getting back to the main point, is that things take longer to process at customs in the UK, or maybe even as they leave Poland. No, probably not as they leave Poland. I think it's on the UK side. So anyway, yeah. So I don't need people chasing me up about orders. Generally, I don't need that anyway. It just, although I always reply to everybody, it just adds extra work. I'm honest. I keep people informed with delays on releases. I send out regular updates. I send newsletters. I do these. I'm doing more of these now as well. I always encourage people to watch these because of this reason, just so they can hear about what's going on behind the scenes. And I always encourage people to read the newsletters. And I get the feeling most people probably bin them as soon as they get them. Almost every second day I get people saying, please unsubscribe. So there's a lot of that going on. But I also know there are people needing this information as well, who don't unsubscribe, and at the same time, I sense that many of them don't actually read the information that I'm sending out. But there's a reason for that. I can't write to everybody individually. Somebody did this a couple of days ago even. Will you be sending out a notification as to when my order's being sent? No, I won't. No. I've got enough work to contend with already. I'm doing a lot. I spin plates. I'm spinning too many plates even. And no, I don't have time to notify everybody. I know some people probably set up I don't know what they set up. I don't even know. I'm not very technical. But maybe they've got something in place where people are notified of that. But these same people probably have a system on their computer whereby they're printing labels and I don't know. I'm not doing it. I'm still handwriting addresses. I don't even have a printer. I can't afford one. I can't afford a fucking printer. I have to use my wife's in the other room. It's a hassle. I did have a printer until about 3 years ago, and it just broke. So, and I need quite a good one, and the kind of printer I need is just a little out of my budget at the moment. So, I'm sure. Yes, I do buy records and books each month. They're a little thank you to myself for my hard work. So I do buy a couple of records or CDs and a couple of books most months. But that's a thank you for even my work as an English teacher. So I've always believed in treating myself to something. We bloody work, should get something to show for it. But yeah, I don't generally have money for a printer in the same way as I don't have money for a new car. Our car's falling apart. It's really old. Yeah, we also need a new sofa. It looks terrible because of the two cats and the dog and our young daughter having destroyed it. Oh, and some other kids as well, other people's kids jumping up and down on it. So yeah, can't even afford a new sofa. So there we are. It really does look like something out of I don't know, some bloody student dwelling or something at the moment. It's not good. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about my bloody sofa. I, as I said, receive emails from people chasing their orders. I could do without that, please. I'm honest. I always process orders. I'm honest in stressing this as well. It always takes me a while when I receive a couple of hundred orders, as I have done for this. Over a couple of hundred. I've started sending these out when worlds collide, double LP. Only 500 of those. When I have that kind of quantity of pre-orders, direct orders, it takes me a while to process everything. I received that double LP, 2 weeks ago? I've started sending some out, the ones without the sound postcard. But I also, until yesterday, today's Saturday, no, I've still got some Richard Young's Zirculus LPs waiting to be posted Monday and Tuesday next week, the very last of the direct orders. That sold out as well now. I had one order yesterday. That was the last copy. Although I've got one reserved for a friend in England, and I've got one on standby waiting to ship with the double LP to another friend in England. So with this, which I'll talk about in a minute. So, gripes. Yeah, complaints. Let's have a slurp of coffee, and then I'll dive back in. I've already said this. I don't need people sending me emails chasing their orders. I fully understand it. if you do that after a release has finally appeared, after it's finally come out, and you're still waiting 3 months later, that's justified. But 2 weeks after a release has happened, it's only me here doing whatever I can each day, each and every day, I should say. Every time there's a new release, I'm at it. I'm at that fucking coalface, packing orders in between my work as an English teacher, in between lessons, in between family commitments, running to the post office, trying to write whenever I can. Not as much as I'd like to these days, in all honesty, which is why the Grim Humour Book 3 has taken forever, because I'm still trying to finish it. Anyway, returning to people waiting for their copy of When Worlds Collide, the double LP compilation. This arrived yesterday. The Edward Ka-Spel You Are Welcome sound postcard, which accompanies the first 100 copies. So basically the first 100 pre-orders that I received for When Worlds Collide will also receive this. This arrived yesterday. So I was waiting for this as well, for 100 of the orders, the direct orders. I haven't even played this yet, but it's a sound postcard. So basically it's one side with vinyl on, similar to a kind of flexi disc, I guess, stuck onto the front of the postcard. And then on the back, there's a QR code. I've done one of these before, and I never had a QR code. Well, I probably didn't have the technology then last time I did it. But there we are, the back, the reverse of the postcard, the two logos, Fourth Dimension Records and Lumberton Trading Company, because I had a little fun making it kind of a co-release between the two labels. It still tickles me even now. Maybe since I've got the logos there together, this one, the Fourth Dimension logo, that goes back to the 80s, and my ex-wife is really responsible for that, because she used to work at Christchurch College in Canterbury. It might be called something else now, actually. She used to work at Christchurch College in Canterbury in the reprographics department, and one day just came home with some notepads she printed, and one of them happened to have this image on, which related to an image I used to have in a book as a child, an A to Z of monsters, demons, and creatures from mythology, and so it transported me back to that book that I had as a 10-year-old or whatever, long gone, I should say. It was for kids, but I remember enjoying that book as a kid, and it just transported me back to that, and I thought, yeah, demons, creatures, monsters, the idea of them existing in the fourth dimension, that's kind of where it kind of made sense for me. Nothing deeper or more meaningful than that, and it's just quite a striking image. A couple of designers over the years have tried to get me to remove it, or they try to place it somewhere else on my releases in some kind of obscure way, but I'm not having it. I don't stipulate much when it comes to my releases. Each artist has the freedom to express their release exactly as they want, within budget. But I do always say there has to be my logo on there near the barcode, usually. And unfortunately, I have to use barcodes because Cargo Records in London insist on them. Anyway, That goes back a long way to the 80s, late 80s, and this maybe even the mid 80s. I can't remember. No, late 80s. And this, the Lumberton Trading Company logo, is a modified version of the early one that we had, and it's a cryptic reference to a David Lynch film. I'll say no more than that. And that it is basically the result of a discussion between myself and a former friend of mine who set up the label. And I'll say former friend because he kind of severed our friendship a number of years ago, because I think he thought I was right wing or something, which I'm not. But anyway, so, or maybe I was too critical of him, you know. I don't know. It was a sensitive type anyway, and yeah, it's the result of that. Yeah. So there we are, the two logos on the back of that, and the front. Just to go back to that for a minute, I always think this image, which was supplied by Edward, it's very much like the kind of imagery you will find on a Killing Joke record. That was the first thing that struck me when I saw this. But I thought, well, again, you know, it's Edward's release. He can put whatever he wants on there. So, but it does look like a Killing Joke cover or video. They very often use these kind of demonic jesters. So yeah. But anyway, I haven't played it yet, and I'm sure it sounds fine. I hope to very shortly. But they only arrived yesterday, and I'll be starting to ship copies with that, copies of the double LP with that next week. And I think that's about it. I think I had one other gripe. I've mentioned a couple of times now about, you know, people hassling me about their orders and overlooking the fact that I live in Poland. You know, this is people. It's most of my most people that buy stuff from me are from the UK actually, and to that end, maybe I'll just quickly go off at a tangent here. I always work with pound sterling with my releases. You know, noted in the shop, listed in the shop, because that's what I always did. Somebody asked me about that a couple of weeks ago, and really it's just what I'm used to, and I just cannot be asked to convert everything to euros. It means I'd have to rethink everything, spend some time. Okay, yeah, maybe only an hour, but I just, well, no, it wouldn't be an hour because I've also got my mail order list. No, I'd need a day to go through everything, changing the prices. I don't have time for that. I just stick to sterling. It makes sense to me. It's not because I'm waving the British flag, you know, from the Union Jack from my little Polish enclave. Nothing of the sort. It's just what I've always been used to, and I just can't be asked to change it. So anyway, I probably should, and it probably looks like I'm being disrespectful, but I don't have a problem with the euro. I don't have a problem with any money. I'm bringing it all on. I don't care what currency it is. So yeah. So there. I've now gone off the track that I was on. Anyway, yes, the track that I was on. Another gripe to round things off. I think I said everything about Richard Young's LP having sold out. Kleistwahr double CD, The Winter and Music for Zeitgeist Fighters. I've pretty much finished sending those out as well now. I think I've still got a few packages to go on Monday or Tuesday next week, and then that's all of the orders taken care of. There was something, oh yeah, just demos. I've said this before. You know, talking to people writing to me, please don't send me unsolicited material. I pretty much know who I want to work with anyway. there's always somebody in the wings. I've mentioned Andrew Payne before. He's definitely an artist I would like to do something with. But that idea's been mooted for a long time now, and I just don't have money, as usual. To do something substantial with him, and I need to think about what I'd like to do. Might be best to do a lathe cut or something, actually. But anyway, I've always got people in mind that I'd like to work with. I also work with you could argue a lot of the same artists. Richard Youngs, he's worked with me several times over the years, well, many times even. And Kleistwahr, I've done umpteen albums by Kleistwahr now. I've done one Ramley 7-inch as well. Haven't done anything else with Ramley, not for want of trying. I'd love to do a Ramley release, another Ramley release, something more substantial than a 7-inch, but it just hasn't happened. But anyway, I do work often with the same set of artists. Extended Network, another one. I've got the double LP coming soon. That won't be the first release that I've done by Andrew of Extended Network. I've done a double CD. I've done a 10-inch. He's also appeared on a compilation double CD, I think. So or did he? And a compilation double 7-inch even for Cafe Otto several years ago. Yeah, I think so. And he DJ'd there as well. No, he didn't DJ. He did a kind of a live set. That was it. So I do tend to work with a group of the same artists, but I do branch out sometimes. But again, getting back to the point, please don't send me demos. I've said this before, and I don't mean to sound harsh, but I'm not going to be able to sell your, electroacoustic works if you're a duo from Argentina or whatever. And no disrespect to Argentinian, electroacoustic artists or sound artists or whatever, but nobody's going to buy it. It's that simple. There are labels better suited to that kind of work. I tend to release stuff like properly on vinyl and CD. So that means usually a minimum quantity of 300 CDs. And vinyl, yes, I can do 100, 150, but usually 300 and upwards as well. Sometimes 500 or more. And it's expensive. It's expensive. It's not cheap to do that. I don't want to be left with, even if the music's good, even if I really like the music, and I don't listen to most demos and links sent to me. I really don't. I don't have time, because I've said this, but I'm waiting to listen to all of these, and I've got another pile like that as well, and that's just the vinyl. I've got huge stacks of CDs waiting to be listened to as well. Sometimes things I bought, sometimes things that have been sent to me, some things to be reviewed, some things from trades. I've always got new music, and I prefer physical formats. There's a better chance of you getting to me, or not getting to me, getting me to release your music if you send me something you've released already on a physical format and I like it. That's so there you are. That's the key. I just don't listen to links and demos and stuff generally. Now and again I might pick away at one, but no, I generally don't have time for this. Obviously accepting the artists that I work with who send me their material because we've already discussed it. Of course I listen to that material, but not unsolicited stuff. I just don't. And an Argentinian electroacoustic duo, I don't want to be stuck with 280 CDs for the rest of my life. So, you know, unsold. So 20 copies will have gone, maybe another 10 in trades or whatever. No, I'm not doing it. Nobody's fucking interested. So outside of 20 or 30 people around the world. So, I mean, it makes my 300 run CDs look like a success story. So, so yeah, you know, when they sell out. So, they're not, and 300 CDs just about break even for me. You know, that's what we're looking at. So, you know, I can't afford to do 300 CDs by some obscure Greek or Italian duo producing sound art. No disrespect to what they're trying to do, whatever it is they're trying to do artistically. I'm sure I'd like it live, perhaps, if I saw it. And I think that's the best setting for that kind of music anyway. But no. So leave me alone with your bloody demos. Leave me the fuck alone. Thank you very much if you've made it to the end. Maybe lastly, like, subscribe, all that bullshit. I am trying to push this a little more. I see I've got a few more subscribers to the channel, but I don't know. I only ever seem to get about 100 people watching these things, 100, between 100 and 150, unless it's an interview, you know, a chat with somebody. But these uploads don't seem to have a lot of appeal for some strange reason. So, but yeah, I'm going to do more of these though. I'll even do some more reviewing of stuff in the near future here. So there we are. But on that note, I need to finish. Thanks again if you've made it to the end. Sorry, it's quite a long one. And I'll be back here in due course. Cheers. Bye bye.